between. And I love that. I love history. I love the fact that there's this continuation that's going on. And I also talk about Homer. So when we listen to or read Homer, we're going back in time in some ways. We are understanding what people may have thought or felt 3,000 some odd years ago, 3,000 years ago. We're in their situation because we can read about it. And then all the people that have come between us also have shared in that and changed it, because Homer, our understanding of Homer, because God knows we can't bring the ancient Greek mind to it, is all those pieces are still in there. So that you're sharing it not only with the people all the way back, but then all the people who've come in between and who've thought about it and changed our view of Homer and how we think about it, or not. Maybe you come to Homer without all of those burdens, but you are in your modern day self, come to it with a modern day perception. So it's an interesting question.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was thinking about the history of the book, I started back to think about the history of writing. So that is 5,000 years ago. You have people writing, and they create writing because they want to keep track of how many kegs of beer they're selling you, or all their sheep, or all their slaves. And writing is about government, and it's about merchandising, keeping track of it. So you're going to get bigger cities because you can write. So writing comes along, and it's like that wonderful artistic happy accident that, we can write stories now. And so you have writing, and it starts in Sumeria and Mesopotamia, the Golden Crescent, right? And then the Egyptians are going to gather together. In Sumeria, they use clay tablets, and we're very lucky that they did, because they last forever. It doesn't matter. So we can go along and we can read like the Epic of Gilgamesh or whatever, what have you. And they wrote on walls, and they wrote on books, and they wrote on all sorts of, for all we know, they wrote on feathers. But that doesn't really matter because we have no way of knowing that. So down in Egypt, they're saying, we have this papyrus stuff. I'm just going to beat it out, and I'm going to make these scrolls. And scrolls are wonderful, right? You can have much longer things. Your walls are longer. I mean, a clay tablet, once you've gotten this size, right? You don't really want to read it anymore. It's not. But scrolls, they can go on for a long ways, and you really see that in the Egyptian art, on the wall. It just goes on and on and on. You can really participate in it. Then you have, very shortly thereafter, so this goes on. The technology is so funny how it works. And so about 800, you have the alphabet, the Phoenician. So now things have changed because the alphabet makes it possible to write stories very easily. You're no longer locked into, what do I have a picture of? Or essentially a picture of. Or do I have some sort of abstract picture of? I can now sum in any word I want and put it somehow on papyrus. Shortly. So then we have the libraries in Alexandria and the library in Pergamum, where they develop vellum and parchment, because they don't have, papyrus only grows on the Nile. You're not going to be growing it in Rome. You're certainly not going to be growing it in Turkey, and you're really not going to be growing it in England. So what I really like that happens then is when the scroll is the dominant way a book is. So Caesar has people wandering around, and he needs to write them, and he needs to send them the battle plans, and he needs to take information with him, because he's no dummy. Whatever Caesar you have here, Augustus, whatever. And so they take the scroll, because it's just too cumbersome to carry around, and they fold it. They probably do accordion folds, right?
A lot easier than unrolling a scroll.
Exactly, and then you can just stick it in your purse, and there you got it. It's no longer this big, heavy, long, crushable scroll. And the codex comes out of that whole, now I have an accordion, and it's just such a gift, because now you can write on both sides of the paper. Papyrus. You just have so much parchment, what have you. Page. And the Christians love codex because they can have a gospel to in a small codex and in your pocket, and they can share it with their friends that are copying it down. And it's a way that Christianity, they take it over. They own this. They don't, the scroll is nothing to them. They're ready for something new. And in the hands of religion, it's powerful. Or you could say that the Codex gave something very much to Christianity.
You can read through it.
And people are copying books out, but there are universities now. They're just starting. And people want to read books. And there's very limited access and there's limited supply. And there are now copyists that are outside of the monasteries that are copying books, but they're not copying books the way we think of books today. They copy a part of them. Like, they copy a favorite story from the Bible, or they copy some medical text, or they copy a book of hours, or they create their own book of hours, or they have missals or psalters. I mean, these sort of prayer books. And you, Betty, would be able to go and buy a particular story. You like the story of Ruth, and you're going to get that copied, and you're going to get this book of prayers by this priest, because you really think those are good. And that book of hours over there, and maybe a couple medical texts, because you want to remember how to make certain kinds of teas. And you take all those parchment pages, and you march down to the bookbinder, and he binds it together. So you're creating your own book. That's what people did back then. They didn't just say, I want the Bible. I want the work by Lucretius. They're saying, I like a little bit of that and a little bit of this. And this is what we're going to do with e-books, right? We're going to say, I want a little bit of that and a little bit of that and a little bit, and that's going to be in my library. So that rigor of the whole structure of an author, of a book being one concrete thing, that wasn't really what it was in the beginning, and it's not where it's going to go now, right? We're not going to keep that. So the printing press is what demanded that. So printing presses come along in 1450. So we've gone pretty fast. So 1450, you have a printing press, and a printing press, it's pretty hard to illustrate a printing press. Because you have to print, and then you have to go the print, and then you have to go back into the pages and do a block print or a picture on it. So printing actually takes illustrations out of books. It's sort of sad. I mean, because I don't know if when you were young, but like if a book had pictures in it, didn't you sort of say, oh, this is the one I got. The Three Musketeers with pictures, those were better than the ones without, right? Right? And that's why you have like full page pictures in most books as opposed to inserted in the text. Inserted in the text is really hard when you're printing. People were getting whipped in town squares for reading the wrong stuff. You know, like, you read the wrong stuff, you young man, we're going to take you out and punish you because we want you to only read this thing. I only want you to read the Bible. I don't want you to be reading, porn on the website. Right? And that printing press and movable print, that lasts into the middle of the 20th century. We didn't change for 500 years, right? That was it. And then in the 20th century, you start to have changes in the way things are printed, and certainly the word processor and digital printing, that changes things. Now they're changing that much more. How much more interactive can you make the book? They're talking about forking stories. So as you read the story on your computer, it might sense your mood and say, we need to cheer her up. I'm gonna make this story go better. I mean, what about it? But certainly you can have the much more interactive and much more communal books than you would have had in that 500 period when the printing presses come around. Books are communal in the Middle Ages, and digital and the internet means that books are going to be communal from now on. Because everybody can write about them or read about them anywhere they want to. You go into a public space and say, I think this is a cheap book. Read the first one, don't read the second one. I mean, and Amazon will print it. or you can blog it, or whatever, and it's out there for everybody. And anybody who thinks, well, gee, should I read that book? I can pick a one and they look. You look, right? You say, Anna, should I buy this book?
Do you think the printed book will become obsolete?
Well, I talk about why I love books, and I love the physical feel of the book. I love the feel of the pages. I just bought a magazine that's basically a book, and the feel of that magazine is just exquisite. And so paper is so enormously rewarding as a tactile surface. And then you see the book, and the book is beautiful, right? Many books are gorgeous. Even, you know, the Art Deco front covers of books, the handmade books. The books are often just beautiful, beautiful objects to look at.
Paper bags or...
Right, and I talk about, you know, like, if you have a really old book, the paper is really thick and sort of cloth-like. And then when you have books from the 1940s, when paper was rationed, it gets really skinny. And then you have the paper that you cut open, and then old paperbacks that sort of, you know, the thick ones from the 50s that are a little too cheaply made, and they sort of are falling apart on you. I mean, you have all these wonderful experiences with paper and books, and I don't know if you're ever going to lose that. If you're ever, for instance, I don't think we're ever going to lose reading aloud. For all of us, when we have our children and our grandchildren, and perhaps even when we just first meet our husbands. I used to read, Bud had never read Narnia when I met him. So I remember when we were in the car, I remember reading the Narnia stories to him. But reading aloud, that's so beautiful. I mean, it's such a wonderful thing. And do you guys like audiobooks? I like audiobooks. Right. So,
I like books. I like books.
For the artist, both within the context of the internet and both digital books. What I like about your show, I mean, partly it's the history, because I love the whole history. So Allie has a piece that's the hands on the wall. I mean, you know, sort of from the earliest, I was here, you know, somebody, and I needed to say to you, or here's my picture of a bull, you know, this is so dynamic and it just carries you forward or backward. You basically have an illuminated manuscript. I mean, it's in the show. And I love that. I mean, that's more than I ever heard. To me, it's like, oh, it's so wonderful. And we move through, I love the different shapes and changiness of a lot of the other books, but we move through to Barbara's installation and we say, oh my God, well, this is a disembodied book. But it's a book. Because this embodiment doesn't make it any less of an experience. It has content, it has an idea.
Well, it was such a powerful thing for me.
Right. Well,
It had
powerful
such a
thing to
lot
see.
of power because of the story behind it. It was my friend who was sending me these poems every
A person alone in his room writing 35,000 words every morning, or whatever it was. What was it that Trollope wrote? It was some ridiculous number. And he was really prolific, right? So he sits down and he writes a book, and at the end, there's a whole book. But here there's a book that goes back to more like what we know the Bible to have been like, right? Where somebody said, well, this is the story, and somebody else says, well, I'm going to change that a little bit. I don't think you quite say what you mean here, right? I'm going to tell the story slightly differently. And then it goes on from there. So it's a completely communal book. Nobody says at the end of the Old Testament, well, I'm going to write the whole Old Testament now. The hands in there are many, right? And certainly we know that to be true.
Yeah. Does anybody here want to heckle in or ask a question?